Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Of course, the news late yesterday was that this Naira shortage, this currency exchange-induced Naira shortage, finally NLC, has waded into the fray and has said that if nothing is done to ameliorate that situation, NLC is actually calling for a nationwide, well, I don't know, terminologies were used such as picketing, but the NLC president, you might have seen it on a social media viral video, was that by Wednesday next week, picketing will begin. Well, my guest is Comrade Fumi Sesi. She's chair of NLC Lagos State Chapter. A fine morning to you, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Yori Folari, and good morning to Nigerians and viewers at home.
Thank you very much. Usually when we see you, it's because there's some issue in the polity, in the society, usually. And this is a very, very important one. Because among the things I had heard was that everybody knows that it's been very, very hard for the ordinary Nigerian ever since this currency exchange caper started. Now NLC has waded into it because workers, we hear, cannot even afford to get themselves to work anymore, and all the other attendant issues that just about everybody viewing this who is not a multimillionaire, billionaire, knows about. So how long have you been looking at this, and what, do you expect government to react? Because are you going to sort of shut it all down? That is labor. Is NLC going to, the Nigerian Labour Congress, shut it all down next week?
Yeah, very well. You know, this action is long overdue. But because we just don't want to rock the boat, we wanted the electoral processes to be over so that nobody will come and place any blame at the doorstep of Nigeria Labour Congress that probably we truncated, or probably NLC was sponsored by any party or by anyone. That was why we allowed for the peaceful electoral processes to be concluded. But having done that, and we have also seen, you know, last week, the leadership of NLC, they gave a 7 days ultimatum to Nigerian government to ensure that there is a cash flow everywhere in the nation. But we have seen that this government, they are no longer ready to do anything to ameliorate the sufferings of Nigerians. So for these reasons, the 7 days has come and has passed, and it is like they have dared Nigerians, not only the workers. Nigerians are suffering. And I believe that we will gain the support of every Nigerian, because we have come out not only to fight for the workers, but to also be the voice for every Nigerian in this situation. We are all facing it. And it's a situation that Nigeria Labour Congress, being an organized sector, and this is what we always do, to come in when we are mostly needed. So we are coming in, and it's going to be a total shutdown from next week. By next week, Wednesday, by the special grace of God, the federal government and central bank, being who we know them to be, they will be playing a dilly-dallying game or hide-and-seek game. Continuing that hide-and-seek game, we will know whether it's Nigerians that hold this country or a central bank that will hold us to ransom. We will know by next week, Wednesday.
Okay, and maybe that's a fine point at which we can hear from, actually listen to the video that was put out by the president of NLC, Comrade Joe Ajaybo.
From this week, from Friday, there will be mobilization of all state councils through a NEC meeting. All unions have already been directed to mobilize all their organs and their branches by Wednesday next week. All central bank from the CBN headquarters will be shut till further notice. Workers are directed to stay at home and join in the picketing exercise.
So that's the NLC president there summarizing.
That's my president.
Summarizing how we should move. Of course, I think it goes without saying that if indeed the situation is addressed before that time, you smile, comrade. That means you're not holding your breath, right?
Well, let's give the evidence of doubt to the central bank, because having given them 7 days and they failed to address the issue, to do the needful. So we don't trust the central bank, most especially the leadership of the central bank. Emefiele, we don't trust him. He's somebody that we have already lost our trust.
Have you engaged with him? Have you engaged with him and before you formed this decision?
We have engaged with him in every way. You know, he reads newspapers, he listens to news, and the issue also is a human being and he's in our society. He doesn't live outside the country, he lives here, and he should know what Nigerians are feeling, unless he is living out of where everybody lives in Nigeria. So, having said that, sir, you've heard what my president has said. We've also given the red flag to all the affiliate unions. NLC has about 57 affiliate unions to start the mobilization. On Wednesday, nobody will be allowed to go to any work. Rather, we will all go and work at the Central Bank of Nigeria.
We're going to be picketing the central bank offices up
exactly.
and down the land.
So we are
which means you're not going to be allowing people in, or for that matter, people out.
It's going to be a total shutdown. That's what it means. Okay. We'll close down all the central bank offices. I think they have 2 in Lagos. We've identified the Lagos own around Agidingbi. And then that one at the Broad Street in Lagos.
Regional headquarters.
Yes, we also take over the place. That is what it means. So if they cannot serve Nigerians, if they cannot do the work that they are supposed to do, then there is no need for them to be, to open the offices on daily basis. Let us close it down and let us know that for now, Central Bank has failed us and we no longer have the trust in the leadership of Central Bank. From there, we will take the next step.
Okay, we're taking calls as well, and Mr. George in Lagos has called in. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning.
Good morning, NLC, Madam there.
Comrade Sessi.
Well, Uncle Yori, is very, very unfortunate that the President Buhari, that this is the way he wants to end his tenure. Everything has been done to show him that he has been misadvised on this subject. He refused to listen. Look at the suffering of Nigerians. I'm even surprised that the NLC was this patient up to this point. What is happening on Gary? It shows that many of our leaders do not know what happens to the people that they lead. People don't have money. You have money in your bank and you cannot have it to spend. How do you eat? How do you feed your children? And you want people, what do you want them to do? The Supreme Court of the land says, release the money. One man is just holding us to ransom. It is time to tell Mr. Emefiele that he is governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, not governor of Central Bank of Emefiele.
Okay.
I'm totally in support of the NLC move. We will join them on the streets.
Well, thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. You know, there are many people that are still talking about this particular saga here. The central bank governor, of course, you know, he's in charge of monetary policy and all of that. But then it is also known that he's not going to be acting independently. So if, for instance, the president was against this suffering, Emefiele would not be standing his ground and continuing if the president actually understood the suffering, the real suffering of the people. But they are in this kind of a situation, Emefiele is the guy who's going to get thrown under the bus.
Yeah, he's
the person who will be
he has to take responsibility because he is the expert in that area. And he is supposed to be the one that we advised. He is the one that's supposed to advise the president properly. You understand? And he is the one that's supposed to also talk about the policy, how it affects the people, or either positively or negatively. He is supposed to advise appropriately, not negatively. For this negative impact on our economy, on our social life, on our psychological being, on our social being, on our physical being, Emefiele has committed a grievous offense against Nigerian citizens.
Okay, so
Himself and his principal, even though the buck stops on the table of the president of the country, because he's supposed to, not only Emefiele that should be his economic team, he's supposed to have an economic team that will review whatever policy that comes from any of all the sector. So if the economic team deem it fit to see the aftermath effect of the currency change at this particular time, honestly, they're supposed to, feel the pains Nigerians we've been feeling.
As you know, a number of states took the federal government to court on this whole matter.
Exactly.
And the Supreme Court, no less, there is no court above the Supreme Court. They have actually ruled
that we continue to spend the old currency until December.
Exactly, side by side with the new currency.
So how many of those old currency have we seen in Nigeria?
And
how many of it have we seen in circulation? And that is why Nigeria Labour Congress, our patience has already been taken for a ride. We've already exhausted our patience, and we can no longer fold our arms and pretend that all is well. We have already said it, that the reason why we abated a little bit was for us not to truncate the electoral processes, so that no one will come and blame NLC
and say
for
that
what
is
working for opponent or opposition or whatever. But now that all the electoral processes is over, we are ready to ensure that Nigerians, they get what they deserve. Okay. We don't deserve this from this administration.
Now, if the president is hearing this, or the president's men are hearing this, of course Emefiele is the guy who's going to be thrown under the bus anyhow. So they'll be listening to all of this. I was wondering, let me come back to you for that.
Okay.
I was wondering whether the Attorney General, since the Supreme Court has ruled, and we have an Attorney General, and this situation is continuing, and we haven't heard from that one. Well, it's an issue. But we have a caller on the line. Where is the call coming from? Mr. Johnson in Port Harcourt.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. You're on air now. Please go ahead.
It's okay. In short, we thank God for this action of Nigeria Labour Congress. Even though it's coming late, Nigerians have really suffered. In Port Harcourt, I saw a man that collapsed because he wants to get access to the bank. There's a bank closer to me which also have an account there. Since I was born about 57 years ago, I've never suffered like that. My children were asking me, Daddy, why are we suffering like this in Nigeria? Because of this CBN action, everything, including pure water, have increased price. We bought currency. The little coins, the little naira in my hand, I bought it. We bought currency, we bought everything excess. A lot of our money have been earned on internet. All efforts to retrieve them failed. In the issue of Buhari in this administration, I have not done worse than this. I wish and I call all Nigerians to support Nigeria Labour Congress to make sure we face Central Bank and its principal to the end, so that we will not die in these captivities. Already, Nigerians were in captivities. Nigerians are experiencing the highest suffering that ever come. In short, like I said, we're already in slavery. My prayer, we have been praying, but this is not time to pray. This is the time for action. So I use this opportunity to call on every other one, including students, there is the NASU, other organization, to team up with labor to make sure we push them to the wall so that we can be liberated. I pray that God help us in Jesus' name.
All right. Thank you for calling in. You know, I'm sure NLC must have looked at this very, very keenly because we have heard economists say that, look, some of those objectives, the objectives of the whole currency swap exchange, some of them actually, you know, admirable. They're right. They will be helpful. But the whole way in which this whole currency swap thing was conceptualized and indeed delivered is highly suspect.
So what makes the processes to be right if Nigerians are suffering and people are dying, if people cannot have access to the currency that you said
is the new one?
Is the new one. So does it make any sense? Does it change our situation for better? Does it stop corruption?
There was too much money. There is, I think, too much money in circulation. I think, I don't have the exact figures, but central bank has actually
too much money in the circulation then for those who are wealthy, for those who have it. Even though there were too much money in the circulation, for some Nigerians, the money was not there. They were living from hand to mouth. So it's like you are putting rubbing pepper into already bad situation. And Nigerians, the poor people, the poor masses,
which I think are in the majority.
Yes, we are still the one that are still feeling.
Comrade, you included yourself.
Yes.
You added we.
Yes, because every month, 30 days make 1 month. So, and we live on salary. And this salary, you have to plan how you spend your money. But since the prices of everything has escalated, even sometimes you do transfer, because we now do electronic banking system.
Yes, we try.
You do transfer, your money will hang. They will hold you again, you do another transfer, until you hear that, sorry, you no longer have any money in your account again.
Well, this thing was rushed.
And then to get access to the banking hall again is another problem. We've seen where people slumped in bank. It happened in some areas. It happens to some of our workers. They slumped where they queue and they died. And this is not what we wish for Nigerians. We wish for Nigerians to have a conducive environment, a conducive situation where everybody will live and will be happy. They will be able to pray for Nigeria and they will be able to pray for our leaders. Is it the same situation today? If they ask you or ask ordinary Nigerians on the street that they should open their mouth and pray for the leadership of Nigeria and pray for central bank governor, can you imagine what will come out from their mouth? That, please, which word do you have to say about the central bank governor, about the leader, the president of this country? They are not leaving a good legacy behind. The legacy that they are leaving behind for Nigerians is a legacy that will make Nigeria to remember them for the wrong reasons.
Okay, Kelly, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, please go ahead now.
I'm really disappointed at the NLC for saying they want to call on strike at this time. It has been long overdue. A lot of things have happened. Even people are beginning to get used to this whole thing now. It's just too bad. Though I supported them, it's not just picketing the CBN. They should ask for the resignation of Emefiele immediately. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you, Mr. Ayori Folani. I think Nigerians, they should learn to be at least grateful to somebody or to some particular organization for coming out to want to stop the irregularities in our system. They shouldn't come out to castigate NLC or to come and condemn. I'm coming, sir.
Okay.
Because I've already said the times without number, the reasons why NLC is just coming out now. Are we the only particular body or group or organization in Nigeria? We have the Christian Association, we have the Muslim body, we have the right, we have the left, we have civil society groups, we have all groups. Why can't everybody, bring out their voice? For us to come out to say that we want to put a stop to this at this time, Nigerians should learn to appreciate Nigeria Labour Congress.
I think
it's going to be an old fashion, or it's not going to be acceptable to us for is like a kind of an insult for us. Even though we're supposed to do everything to ameliorate the problems of the workers, but we are still coming out to ameliorate the problems and the difficulties for all Nigerians. We have said it that the processes of the electoral processes, we don't want it to be truncated. We don't want this government to spend a day longer in the office. We want them to leave on May 28th so that we can have a new fresh idea, a new fresh government that we want to believe will come in with a whole lot of ideas to want to right the wrong, to want to correct.
I hear you.
Yes.
Comrade, I just wonder if there wasn't some misunderstanding there in the sense that that gentleman, Kelly, he said he supports Labour, but his anger, which you've explained already that, look, you might want to feel like that, but we wanted the election to go without a hitch. He's saying that he wanted you to have...
I've explained it like 3 times,
now.
and I don't even... I don't even think...
That guy is in support. Okay. Kelly is in support.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kelly. Thank you so much.
He's in support. He's just a bit miffed that the very good reason you gave is like Kelly was so angry.
There are situations that you study. There are
Mm.
some situations on ground
that
you have to study before you just... You cannot just see a river and then you jump into it. You have to study the depth of the water. You have to study the whole situations around you before you just start your actions.
Okay. Mustafa in Katsina, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, please.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, for sparing your time to be with us, and especially Mrs. Fumi, the Labour woman, and
the NLC Lagos chairman, Comrade Fumi Sesi.
Yes, all she said is correct. These people have made us to suffer, and MFLA should be sacked immediately.
Okay, all right.
Because they are causing this problem. He's the one causing this problem. They say, do unto you what you like others to do unto you. There is this thing, people are suffering. I'm telling you, as I'm talking to you now, you see a lot of lines in banks. And some people even sleep there.
Yeah.
They slept there, and people are not attending to them.
Yeah.
You send, what do you call it, this transfer, and something is not going. And at the end of the day, they will tell you, sorry, that we will reverse this. And it will take them for them to reverse this. And people are suffering, and God is in everybody, honestly speaking.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is this part of the world that there will be a failure in a sector, and yet the person that's supposed to take responsibility will develop a thick skin? If it happens in the Western world that we seems to be copying, they will tender their letter of resignation with immediate effect, even before people will start pulling them. I think there is a process before a process. Let us start the process on Wednesday and see whether Emefiele will be able to survive the heat that is coming to him.
We even know, most Nigerians want to know what exactly has happened here. You say you're withdrawing the old notes from circulation. Central Bank says, hold on, just keep putting those old notes out next to the new notes you people said you are doing. And let that situation be till the last day of the year. It hasn't happened. The Supreme Court is the person who ruled in this way.
Exactly.
Now, we have an Attorney General. So far, you see, you're keeping the Attorney General out of this, you're keeping the President out of this, but it is Emefiele that, everybody is focusing now on Emefiele because of his role. We understand his, role, his constitutional role, but you have not mentioned the Attorney General.
At least somebody must be held responsible.
So let's start with Mr. Emefiele.
Exactly. So the person that is in charge, by the time we hold him responsible, let him come out and tell Nigerians his own particular role in this quagmire that we have been faced with.
Because
let him come out and tell us the truth, because it's only the truth that can liberate Emefiele from this problem he has put himself.
Well,
so if himself and his principal are indeed culpable, Emefiele or Emefiele,
Mr. Emefiele,
Mr. Emefiele, come out and tell Nigerians your own side of the story, because we don't want any other thing but nothing but the truth. That is the only thing that can save you and save your face from the history, negative history that you have already put your name. Every day, Nigerians, they rain curses on you and your generation. Emefiele, Nigerians rain curses on you and your generation. It will take you years to go and wash your head off, to go and wash those curses that even the children and adults, women, men, they have rained on you and your generation.